Yes, we have extremists. We are in a place where we can plant our feet firmly on the ground, be grounded in the midst of what can seem like a crazy, chaotic time. And really, someone's got to keep this divided family together, so why not the us? So we like our chances on the great things. My name is Erin Grace. I run communications and external relations for Insight, and I'm really, really happy to welcome you here to Omaha to ENVISION24. This is our third conference. Our first was online only. This is our second in person. And, I know you're all experts in radicalization, but so am I. And I'm going to radicalize you to Omaha and to Nebraska. You're going to hear really important information from me on this subject, and I've got prizes when you're paying attention, okay? So I will radicalize you to Bright Eyes in the Flesh, to Malcolm X, and to Gerald Ford, Warren Buffett. So just know, be ready for your pop quiz. We had an awesome day yesterday. We had over 200 people come to our ribbon cutting in a building just right down the street there. We had speakers, we had guests, we had students, we had snacks, we had demos. We're so happy about that. Let me get to a few housekeeping notes before we really get started with today. So we are live streaming this. So your Miranda rights are read, just know that.
Sorry.
Those online who are watching, send your cues for our. We will try to send our A's. There's a Q&A feature there. We have a lobby table staff continuously. You probably saw Jen and Sarah out there. Please ask them anything. They will help you. And you'll see student posters up and around. So please take your time. We are giving out 3 $500 awards on Thursday. So we'll have a little award ceremony there. I don't think I've forgotten anything. There's food, there's drinks, so please help yourself. And with that, we're going to get to our first speaker. So the Department of Homeland Security's Office of University Programs, or OUP, funds and manages academic centers of excellence, or COEs like us. Rebecca Medina runs OUP. She has a long career in government, includes the U.S. Senate and GAO. She's led efforts that help DOD and the Department of State, and she joined DHS's Science and Technology Directorate in 2005, where she has served as Senior Policy Advisor. She's had an awesome resume. Rebecca, if you could come up here, you'll be our first speaker today.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you to Insight for inviting me to welcome you all here today this morning. I will keep things short and sweet because there is nothing worse than someone droning on as you're having your first morning coffee. As Erin said, I'm the director of the Office of University Programs, and one of the things we require our centers to do is on an annual basis hold a meeting to run through the program portfolio of work. Now, it's not a surprise for those of you who know Insight and know Gina that this has become a bigger meeting than just a kind of rote exercise talking about program work. It really embodies the spirit of what we intend these meetings to be, which is not only to just talk about program work, but to offer a place and a space to grow partnerships, to allow researchers to talk to government officials, to talk to other researchers. You may find, as you're listening today, you hear someone present something that would be applicable to the work you're doing, or as a researcher that sort of pings something in your head and brings up a new idea or a new pathway for a project that you want to propose for the next year. So that's really the goal of these sessions, not to just sit and listen and sort of take in information, which is a fantastic reason for being here. Don't get me wrong. If that's why you're here, we hope you take away a great amount of information about what this center is doing and how it may help your organization. But what we really encourage is for you to be talking to people on the margins of these meetings, talking about how you may incorporate research, or maybe you're looking for staff in the future. There are lots of young researchers here who are working through both UNO and other academic organizations who are going to be the next generation of policymakers and researchers within academia. Great. but we can use those people too. So be looking for those people to chat with today and tomorrow. We encourage that, and we hope that you have a great time over these next 2 days and that you find a place to continue working with ENVISION in the years to come. So thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'd next like Dr. Jeff Gold to come on stage. He is the president-elect of the University of Nebraska System. And Dr. Gold was an early supporter of ENVISION, and we're happy to have him last night. Thank you, Dr. Gold.
Well, thank you, and a very warm Nebraska welcome to all of you. For those of you that have not been here and experienced some of the weather over the last couple of days, we have a saying here in Nebraska that if you don't like the weather, well, just wait an hour. That'll be changed extremely quickly. Well, I just want to extend on behalf of the University of Nebraska System to all of you a very warm welcome. How excited we are to host this in person and hybrid in a way that those of you that are online can participate as well. My job really is just to say thank you to the organizers. Events like this don't just happen. They take a tremendous amount of careful planning and hard work, and then most of you are the beneficiaries of that, and I get up here just for a few minutes. I loved Senator Ricketts' comments last night. He wasn't sure whether the message was to speak for 3 to 5 minutes or for 35 minutes. I think he split the difference. But I did want to just share a little bit of background with you, and so I pulled together 1 or 2 slides. So if we can flip just to the next slide, I promise I'll be extremely brief. Where's the thing to do this? Here it is. There we go. Yeah. So just to make the point that the University of Nebraska writ large, over 150 years since its founding, multiple campuses, almost 50,000 students, 16,000 employees. Last year, all in, we did about $650 million of sponsored research. So not a trivial organization, broken into campuses, colleges, institutes, centers, departments, et cetera. And we have a lot of relationships with the federal government. And I had the opportunity recently to speak at a planning event that relates to our relationships with Offutt Air Force Base and United States Strategic Command. And so, and by the way, if you're not aware of that, that's just a few miles down the street. And, you don't want to know what goes on in that building, and neither do I. And if they told you, they'd probably have to kill you. So, but it gave me an opportunity to pull all of this information together. And so if you look at this list of United States federal departments, while we are incredibly proud of our relationship with the Department of Homeland Security, there are many other critical relationships that we have, which of course include the Department of Defense, Education, Health and Human Services, State, Agriculture, Energy, a lot of work with the VA, and on, Department of Justice, et cetera. And there are any number of critical named entities. This is just a partial list. In the middle of there, of course, you see ENVISION, which enjoys this phenomenal relationship with the Department of Homeland Security. But whether it's our National Strategic Research Institute, which is a university-affiliated research center, one of 15 in the United States, whether it's the work we do with the Buffett Early Childhood Institute in terms of early childhood care for the Department of Defense, and everything in between, whether it deals with crop security, whether it deals with livestock security. There's just a very, very long list. The Global Center for Health Security, for instance, as you may know, is very, very much involved in national security in terms of not just resilience of biocontainment, quarantine, and isolation, but also tens of millions of dollars of training grants every year. So this is just a partial list of some of the agencies and departments within the federal government, everything from Offutt Air Force Base to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to the USU, ASPR, the assistant, what is it now called? Something for Preparedness and Response. It used to be the Assistant Secretary. They've renamed it to maintain the same acronym, NDMS, the FDA, the CDC, the National Security Council, OPPR. I mean, there's just a really long list. And the reason I share all of this with you is just to make the point that we in the university system are incredibly proud of these relationships. First of all, they're great for our students. They're great for our faculty to be able to collaborate and to serve the national security of our country while also serving in their roles as faculty, as educators, as research scientists, as clinicians, et cetera. It's a really good business relationship for us because these individuals, as they visit us, will stay in our hotels and eat in our restaurants. But more importantly, it serves the national security of our nation. And for public and private universities to have a mission-driven interest in doing that, I believe is critically important. As I've learned from all of my time in the Pentagon and on Capitol Hill and in the Humphrey Building and elsewhere, the federal government, our partners, depend on these partnerships. They have to be tightly integrated, effective partnerships where all of the partners are highly aligned of trying to accomplish the same goal. And I will tell you, there is nothing on that list that is any more important than ENVISION and our relationship with the Department of Homeland Security. And so with that, I don't have any more slides. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share some comments, and I want to wish you the very best. Your program, unfortunately, I can't spend the day with you, but I will stay as long as I possibly can, and I understand the weather forecast is nothing other than blue skies today, particularly in this room. So thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Gold. Our next speaker, UNO Chancellor Joe Lee, has been a fierce champion for ENVISION and for the Department of Homeland Security funded research we do here. She's just a lot of fun, and we're so grateful for her support. It's because of her we were able to have a ribbon cutting last night on New Space. Chancellor Lee.
Well, thank you, Erin, and good morning, everyone. I want you to be proud of me. I'm not a morning person, but this morning at 8 a.m., I already in Baxter Arena. UNO is hosting a HumanX conference. It's about 1,000 people over there. So I was there at 7:50. From an academic viewpoint, I am an early bird. So last night was a lot of excitement, and we feel very loved. There is a lot of important people in the room, including Dr. Gold, right? And I have to say, Dr. Gold is a busy man. And for him to carve out the time to come in with the 3 slides presentation, that's a lot. But I know he's showing up because he understands the important work that you are doing here for the country and beyond. And Omaha in 2020, because of all the hard work, Gina and the team, Dr. Gold, Senator Ricketts, and all the important people, researcher, they work really hard. So we became, right, in 2020, the home, I want to say it, the home of National Counterterrorism Innovation, Technology, and Education Center. We are the middle child. Just like what Erin said, right? I know everybody talk about the middle child. Middle child is the protector of the family. And this middle child is the protector of the country and beyond. And I know that some of you will spend a few days here. And I want to tell you, if this is the first time you're in Omaha, welcome. You will see a campus that UNO is very different. We are the Metropolitan University for University of Nebraska system. It is special when you walk out from this Scott conference, you see our campus just like ENVISION. We integrate with the community. Our work is everyday lives here, right? It's not a campus that with a wall we circle, this is our campus. No, our campus is the campus for our community. And that's a very important distinction about UNO that I want you to pay attention. If you get a chance to walk out, you see a lot of great restaurants, students may play volleyball here or so. It's a lot of fun. Before we started, we have our Chief of Staff for our student government, Nate. I know he's somewhere here. Nate came and said, Dr. Lee, last night was a lot of fun. I got a chance to network with people. That is the magical moment of your work. I know that your work is not only about the scientific thing that Sam was telling me, right? Oh, it's all this scientific thing we're doing. It's all about like what Sam, communication, How are you going to really make a difference? Is your work is to integrate with our student life here. And I always say one of the things that make me so happy is going to the Insight new space to see the collaborative environment we created intentionally and deliberately so that our student can work real projects alongside of you. So in this coming 2 days, I hope you really be present, right? Make good use of networking, but more so, I want you to have a conversation with our students. Let them know what you're doing. Let them know and poke their interest. Make them be part of it. Create a succession plan for counterterrorism work. And I've been told many times, going to DC, travel with Gina, the most important task is we educate average citizen so that they all grow and become the #1 defense for, anything that can hurt our country. And I know that ENSI have done a lot of great things. And of course, I'm always tremendously proud of our colleagues and our students participating in ENSI work. And we said it, 2030 is the time we got to do our renewal. But I want to make a personal commitment to our colleagues and to all the students and all the researchers and staff in this room. UNO is committed to sustain ENSIght beyond 2030. We know the work here is a very important strategic emphasis, not only for Nebraska, not only for this country, and also international. So for all our international travelers and friends and partners coming in here, and welcome home. With that, congratulations, and I hope you have a wonderful ENVISION, the 3rd conference that we hosted in Omaha.
Okay, next up is the Chief Scientist for Homeland Security. He was supposed to speak last night, but Sam Howerton got to spend a delightful hour and 15 minutes on the tarmac. So grateful for that time in the plane, I'm sure. Dr. Howerton has a wonderful bio. You can read it in our program. In the interest of time, I want him to blind us with science. Come on, I had to.
All the Gen X references, I mean, they just land right on me. I love it. So good morning. Thanks for joining us here today. I am sorry that I missed last night in the ribbon cutting ceremony. I'm not actually going to give the remarks that I was going to give to that. This is a slightly different group, and so I'll try to talk to you more as colleagues, right, from the scientific disciplines. In my time today, I want to talk a little bit about context, because that's a good chunk of what my job is about, right? Setting the context for Homeland Security and science. And I want to do that by hopefully like answering 3 questions that's probably rattling around in your mind, right? 1, why does DHS fund research and development to begin with? 2, why does it fund academic centers within our research portfolio? And 3, probably most important, right? Why does it fund Insight in particular? So let's talk about why does DHS fund research and development writ large? I mean, if you pick up the paper and look at what DHS's the media says about it, right? We focus on a lot of things like disaster preparedness and response, border issues, certainly counterterrorism fits into that. Research and development for DHS is not about threats, at least from my perspective. It's actually about opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to be ready for what's coming, not necessarily addressing the problem that we have today. That's not to say that a lot of our research dollars don't go into addressing the gaps for our components, but where we are trying to be, right, is equally, if not more important than where we are today. And that is why we invest in research and development, the same as our colleagues at the Department of Defense or the intelligence community. You don't want to be fighting yesterday's war. You don't want to be addressing yesterday's homeland security challenges. You want to be ready for the ones that are coming. And so why do we fund academic centers then? Well, so I'm going to be a little bit biased, right? I'm a product of the academic community. I think that all good ideas start at universities. Yeah, you might have unicorns that lead to Meta or Apple or something like that, right? But really, the best ideas come out of the university system that we fund here. And so it's important for us to tap into that as we look to the future. Academic centers allow us to leverage the research that's funded by other departments and agencies, but more importantly, to focus in on the people and the ideas that you're generating on a day-to-day basis. And that's something that's absolutely, positively critical for us going forward. A lot of folks will ask too, like, well, why don't you just ride the coattails of the Defense Department or the intelligence community, right? Seems kind of logical, or even the NSF and some of the other basic science funders. And the reality is that it's because the work that we do is a little bit different, as all of you know, right? As a domestic agency, we really do have to focus on the protections that are enshrined in the Constitution, the laws of the United States. And I think the academic community appreciates that sometimes in a way that others do not. So let's end with the why insight. Why are we here today? Why are we doing all this sort of stuff? So you're going to hear from the Deputy Homeland Security Advisor, who's going to talk about the threat space. And the reality is that the counterterrorism threat is evolving. Just like the threat space in general is evolving. It's being driven by the democratization of science and the democratization of technology. And all you have to do is look at what's going on in world events to understand that. We fund centers, when we fund Insight in particular, to try to maintain an awareness of that evolution and be prepared for it going forward. But here's the real reason I think that we fund Insight and the other centers. The real reason. It's the students. So I've been in government 20 years. In fact, when I started my career, I was trained as an academician, like probably most of you are. And it was only through serendipity that I ran into an Army colonel that was like, you can do something different than what you were trained to do. And I ended up doing government service. Insight in the centers are training the people that are going to replace me. I mean, after 20 years, you would think I'm the graybeard, right? But the reality is it's not true. I'm still the young whippersnapper in the government. And Insight in particular, when we talk about terrorism and counterterrorism space, is absolutely critical in providing that pipeline into the US government. Serendipity cannot be our strategy for replacing the scientists and engineers at a time of such massive change, both technological and sociological. Lastly, I'd say that we focus on Insight too, because the problems of the world today cannot necessarily be solved through an engineering challenge. In my career in the government, I've noticed that there is a tendency to want to build a new widget, to develop a new thing, right, to solve the problem. But at the end of the day, it's all about people. It's the intersection of the sociological and the technological, right, that help us identify what the problems are and then the solutions to them. And so Insight in particular fits this very unique role in this overlapping Venn diagram space for the Department of Homeland Security. I am going to be here the rest of the day, all day tomorrow. I hope to get to meet all of you one-on-one or in groups. I certainly want to meet the students, right? Because the government needs you. So I certainly hope that the rest of the day is very fruitful for you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Howerton. Honestly, you can pat him on the back. He's from the great state of Tennessee, and I believe they just took home the College World Series trophy. So good job, Vols. So we're going to get started here with our next speaker, Jen Daskell. She has, again, I mean, I keep saying it like just so redundant. Okay. Oh, a few minutes? Oh, a few minutes, huh? What can I do up here with that time? All right, why don't we take a breather, take a stretch, and then I'll get you started as soon as she's ready to go. But don't leave the room, please. Remain here. Thank you. Okay. 2 minutes, folks. Don't get too cozy. You ready? All right, everybody. I believe we have Jen Daskell with us now. It's truly humbling when not only thinking of the firepower in this room, but just thinking about people like Sam Howerton, people like Jen Daskell. A common question you hear in this line of work is what keeps you up at night? But when I think about what lets me sleep at night, I think of how inspired I am, by their commitment to this mission-driven work, pretty thankless work, often invisible work. I bet she sleeps with her phone if she sleeps. So, I want you to look in our program at her bio. Her current title, though, places her in the White House as Deputy Homeland Security Advisor, Deputy Assistant to the President. She has graciously given some of us, our